just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your
With 2 races left in 2025, it'll either be a Thanksgiving feast or famine for 42 drivers today in the eastern mountains of the Keystone State. Hi, hello, and good afternoon, race fans. It's a chilly Thursday afternoon in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania, as we welcome you to the Autumn Hill Raceway for stop number 11 of the 2025 FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship, the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill. Once again, welcome everybody to today's coverage of FMGTC Racing here on the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright, and first and foremost, happy Thanksgiving to everyone tuning in stateside. That being said, it's down to brass tacks for the FMGTC with just 2 races remaining in the 2025 season, and no race was as crazy as this one was last year in 2024 at a track that at face value doesn't show how crazy things can really get here in Schuylkill County. Bridgehampton was a fantastic race on the early side of October, but a month and a half later, things have definitely changed in the point standings as we take a look at them going into the final pair of races, starting with GTLM, and for the first time in what I believe is all season, we have a new points leader for GT Le Mans. Aguirre Sato has a 45-point lead over Mike Vincent Jr. coming into the penultimate race of the season. Sato has been relatively chipping away at that lead for the last 3 races, and Mike Vincent Jr., with his struggles in the early part of the Bridgehampton Long Island Fall Classic, has finally fallen out of first for the point standings. That 45-point gap could be eclipsed here this afternoon as both drivers start very deep in the field for GT Le Mans. Zachary Fitzwater starts in the back with them as well. He is currently 50 points out of a championship spot. Riley Sampson starts in 4th. He is that 4th car starting on that outside lane in that Orbit number 36 Chevrolet Corvette. Bradley Ream rounds out the top 5, 105 points behind Aguirre Sato. And right now is the last driver within a full race's worth of points behind Aguirre Sato. It has really been a select number of drivers that have a chance to win this championship at Riverside in a month or so, but Michael Lewis is right now 130 points out of the points lead. He needs to have a great run here this afternoon. Same thing with Sebastian Palmer to try to get back within a mathematical chance of winning this championship. Remember, the most points you can score in a single race is 120, and that's by dominating the dang thing. So these drivers have to have really good runs here this afternoon if they want a chance at this championship. But for the formality's sake, Sebastian Palmer 7th, Caleb Rose, Skylar Taylor, who won the Love's American Truck Series race here less than a week ago in the 45. She's currently 180 points back in that 45 machine, and Owen Miles rounds out the top 10 for GT Le Mans. Then over to GT Daytona, and they've really spread things out for themselves as well, with Dylan Matthews winning the race at Bridgehampton a month and a half ago. She's got her biggest points lead of the season so far, a 69-point lead over Aaron Abel. Logan Alexander, 3rd in the standings for GT Daytona, 95 back at Dylan Matthews. Esteban Lasser and Brooke Paquette, 100 and 110 points back of the 26. Right now, Blake Beauville on the outside looking in. That 11 car needs a really good run this afternoon if he wants to have a shot at this championship. with Beauville, Colin Bear, Alex Lozano, Carson Miller, and Juan Rodriguez, the defending winner of this race for GT Daytona. Rounding out the top 10 in the points, Juan Rodriguez is essentially out of championship contention, 200 points back of the 26 coming into this afternoon. All Dylan Matthews needs is just a clean couple of races and needs Aaron Abel to run into issues in that 98. Remember, those were the two main cars fighting for this championship a year ago, the 26 of Dylan Matthews and the 98 machine, which was piloted by John Stewart last year. It's going to be take two of this. We'll see if the wheels come off for the championship once again here at Autumn Hill like they did for Dylan Matthews 1 year ago. While the Richmond Raceway has held on to the moniker of the action track, this track gives them a run for their money tenfold. Of all 11 turns at Autumn Hill, none of them are safe from chaos. Last year we saw incidents in every single turn, from the kink of turn 1 to the looping carousel of turns 10 and 11, and of course Accident Alley, the S's for turns 5 and 6. That's where the most trouble is going to kick up this afternoon, is that backside area of the course. It's where we had the most wrecks here in 2024, including the aforementioned Sebastian Palmer's championship hopes come to an end with a violent flipping crash 1 year ago. Last weekend, we had the Loves American Truck Series race here in Tremont. That was a blast in itself, but we're going to have some real fun for the next 90 laps with these GT cars. We're going to send things trackside for the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for the start of the 2025 SPAM Grand Prix of Schuylkill.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the engines roar to life on the front straightaway of Autumn Hill. 42 Grand Touring cars ready to do battle for 90 laps in Schuylkill. It's going to be the three of John Andrews sitting on the pole position for GT Le Mans, with Caleb Rose to his outside in the number 5. Back in here for GT Daytona as we get a good look at the 26 machine of Dylan Matthews, starting back in 16th for GT Daytona. They're led to the green flag by that man right there, Blake Beauville, in the ABC Supply Co. number 11, with Connor Monaco to the outside of him to round out row number 1 for GT Daytona. There is Aguirre Sato in that blue and white PLR 49 Corvette. He's looking for a clean race this afternoon. Same thing with the 78. Mike Vincent Jr., but a clean race here at Autumn Hill. Very, very, very tricky to do. It's going to be 90 laps of pure chaos here in Schuylkill County this afternoon. Drivers will have to do 2 sets of pit stops every 35 or so laps. Of course, Accident Alley on the back straightaway, turns 5 and 6. While other turns 4, 5, and 6 are going to be the big trouble spots here this afternoon. Of course, the previous winners of this race, Skylar Taylor, the King of Prussia native for GT Le Mans, Juan Rodriguez for GT Daytona. Pace car down the pit lane. Sticks are going to be high in the air with 2 races to go. As through the Reese's restart zone goes John Andrews. The green flag is out and away. 2 races remain in 2025. Caleb Rose right to the rear end of the 3 machine, going through the opening set of corners single file for GT Le Mans, but behind them it is a hornet's nest of activity on the opening lap of the race. Bruno Giacomo nearly going off track in the 1 through Accident Alley for the opening time, 2 by 2 wide. We're already doing better than we did last year, as everybody is able to get through the back straightaway S's without any major incidences. But right now, the battle is on for the race lead in GT Le Mans off of turns 1 and 2. Rather, turns 10 and 11. John Andrews will come around to lead lap number 1 of the afternoon here at Autumn Hill, and everybody will get around to complete a lap. The Ryan Durrani bringing up the rear in the 16. Andrews showing the way in that 3 machine. Behind it by about a quarter of a second is that 5 of Caleb Rose. It's a 4-car breakaway for the race lead in GT Le Mans. Back end of that, Sebastian Palmer, like we mentioned in the pre-race show, looking for a little bit of redemption after dominating the middle portion of last year's race. or wrecking out and essentially dashing his hopes at a championship. For the championship hopefuls back in here right now, a really good start for that 78 of Mike Vincent Jr. up to 9th on the grid. Not a great start for Aguirre Sato in the 49, back to 17th. So that would give Mike Vincent Jr. the points lead back the way things run right now, but it is a long, long race here at Autumn Hill. Still plenty can go wrong. Vincent Jr. on the outside there in that number 78 of Riley Sampson. Remember, Sampson trying to get a little bit of championship help here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's 4th in the championship, 89 points back of Aguirre Sato, so Sampson is looking to make this at least a 3-horse race for the championship, maybe even 4 horses. Zachary Fitzwater trying to make it a 4-horse race for the championship in GT Le Mans. Which it would be very ironic that GT Le Mans would have the most competitive championship aside from GT Daytona. Checking back, and now Justin Williams into the outside wall of turn number 10. He overdrove the corner and is trying to get back on the racetrack, and an early setback there for your Denver Roval winner. A tough break for that 86 machine. He's all the way back in the boondocks. In with the GT Daytona cars, who are right now being led by the 99 of Nathan Buchanan, trying to get his first win in a Grand Touring car, and he has been a long-time stalwart of this series. The Menards 99 has always been a fixture of the FMGTC, and back when we exclusively did the 2.4 hours of Daytona, Bruno Giacomo trying to give that Mustang a run for its money. However, here comes the Bardal Dodge Viper. Those two go side by side here on lap number 4 of the event. Dylan Matthews at the tail end of the pack, rather midway through the pack right now in the 26. With Aaron Abel in the 98. Right behind that UPS Mustang is it's Ford versus Dodge once again here for the championship. Logan Alexander in the 71, who's 95 points behind those two, is behind them on the racetrack as well. 21st on the card for GT Daytona. So as of right now, this is playing into Dylan Matthews' favor, as off the road goes the 72 as Carson Miller. A little too close for comfort there out of turn number 3. And he's immediately going to pull to the left-hand side of the racing surface and let everybody go past him. And that was right in front of Dylan Matthews, and nearly disaster striking for the opening time this afternoon. An accident alley as they go 3 wide. Last year's champion Michael Brown and last year's winner of this race, Juan Rodriguez, both to the right-hand side of that 711 72 machine. Nearly a big setback there for the UPS 26. Field beginning to spread themselves out as Reggie Fogelman will dip the right side of those right side BF Goodriches off into the grass. No harm, no foul there. And at the front, it's still a 4-car breakaway is rounding out the top 5, like we mentioned several times. Skylar Taylor, the winner of this race for the Loves American Truck Series back on Saturday afternoon. Defending winner of this race for GT Le Mans, right now running in that 5th spot. Your Watkins Glen winner of John Andrews, your Mexico City winner of Caleb Rose, and then Owen Miles, I believe he won at Papyrus. He did win at Papyrus. I got the Papyrus and the, I always get the 59 and the 36 mixed up between Owen Miles and Riley Sampson. I don't know why. Probably those are two similar caliber of drivers. But Riley Sampson won at Thornton in this 59 machine of Owen Miles, won at Papyrus. Sebastian Palmer, your Old Spice winner. So, top 4 cars for GT Le Mans have all won a race already this season as we close in 7 laps behind us here of the scheduled 90 laps this afternoon, as Logan Alexander is recognizing that, hey, now might be the time to go here. trying to get around Ryan Durrani. Again, Logan Alexander doesn't have a whole lot of experience at this track, unlike a lot of these drivers, particularly in GT Daytona. A lot of drivers such as Igor Barreto in the 14. And oh, Carson Miller gets turned into the inside wall, and he is upside down and flipping. A hellacious hit to the inside wall for the 711-72 Mustang, and Alexander Rowe was the one who sent him in there. And it was just a matter of time before we had our first major incident of the afternoon. I think Alexander Rowe, he might not make it back in that Viper. And we saw that hit to the inside wall at the end of the race last year as Michael Brown, who ironically would win the championship a month later, went flipping after he took the checkered flag. And now, our opening incident of the afternoon involves Carson Miller going head-on into the wall. And that is probably the second worst accident he has had in 2025. If you go back to Armory Digital in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, he went flying into the catch fence Kyle Larson style. Of course, we've had a lot of drivers into the catch fence here this week. We had a catch fence crash with Joseph Wood. Right now, it's 3 out front here, 9th of the way through the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill. 1 car out of the race is Carson Miller. Has pulled it, but he is just going to try. I don't know why they're trying to repair that 72 machine. He is out of the event. An unfortunate break there for Carson Miller. So we're down to 40 cars, 19 remaining in GT Daytona. As Alexander Rowe is going to fall quite a few laps down, they might be able to fix that Better Call Saul Dodge Viper. But unfortunately for them, it's going to be the end of the road for Carson Miller, definitely. Other than that, nothing really big has transpired just yet. Of course, we're only a 9th of the way through the race, so there's still plenty of time for some chicanery and shenanigans to occur as Alexander Rowe has pulled his 88 machine behind the wall, and again, that's got some championship implications. Not really, as Alexander Rowe and Carson Miller were both at least 100 points out of the championship fight. If anything, that's going to officially take them out of the championship battle. Oh, and nearly, we were just about to go back to him. Talk about coincidences. Esteban Lasserre, who right now on the pylon for GT Daytona, running in 3rd. Again, he has got a 100-point gap over Dylan Matthews. So he has got a decent start to the race so far, with Matthews being marred in the back of GT Daytona. Lasserre is looking to close up in that battle as they nearly went 3 wide going through turn number 10. But Lasserre right now in 3rd position, behind the 99 and the 1 machines respectively, as Nathan Buchanan, I believe, has led all but 1 lap so far in GT Daytona. Carson Miller has officially pulled that 72 car behind the wall. And now Caleb Rose is trying to draw a little bit of a bead on the back end of the 3 machine down the front straightaway. About 0.3 of a second behind that Ace Hardware, Jaguar Toyota, and Chevrolet Corvette. Running 1, 2, 3 at the time being, and the top leaders for GT Le Mans are all within a 2nd and a 6th of one another, with the top 3 separated by only a 2nd. Sebastian Palmer waiting in the wings there in that Napa Auto Parts number 20. trying to see if he's able to make some action happen. But it's Andrews, whose truck team has stumbled a little bit over these last couple of races. Of course, Lauren Martinez and Taylor Lay for Andrews Racing over on the Loves American Truck Series side of things, trying to get things going themselves. But John Andrews coming into today mathematically out of the championship fight. 230 points back of Aguirre Sada, so he's not going to win a championship, but he's going to look to try and win his second race of the season. Started on pole. Does not have the fastest lap. That belongs to Riley Sampson right now for GT Daytona, at least. For GT Le Mans, I should say. Sampson running in 7th at 36. Pretty much single file here at Autumn Hill for the time being, as Daniel Bouchard, 2 wins to start the season, but is out of championship contention, goes up the racetrack and is able to hold on to that Coke 08 machine with Matt Lagasse right at his 6 o'clock. Lagasse's still in search of his first career win here in the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship. Roberto Crown Jr., the last winner here for the FMGTC. Starting to fall a little bit back here. Won the race at Bridgehampton a month and a half ago, and now he's under fire from Roberto Crown Jr. Rather, Roberto Crown Jr. is under fire from Daniel Bouchard, I should say. So those two, side by side, going down the front stretch. Begin lap number 15. We're about halfway through the opening fuel run of the afternoon. It's been a good one so far. Welcome, of course, I'd like to once again welcome everybody coming to this broadcast from the coverage of the Thanksgiving 500 over on AG, the channel. That just wrapped up about 20 minutes ago at this point. There's a good look at Zachary Fitzwater's number 62 Bass Pro Shops Corvette. Right now running in that 8th spot. 9th is Mike Vincent Jr. and Aguirre Sato. Right now runs in 11th, so Sato would only have about a 35-point lead the way things are running right now over Mike Vincent Jr. going into Riverside in a month and a half's time. Just trying to hold off Bryce Egan in that 8 machine. Egan looking for a little bit of redemption after I believe he failed to finish the Loves American Truck Series race here back on Saturday. Same thing for Michael Lewis and for Riley Sampson. Sampson, who finished in last in the last race at Chicagoland Tuesday night. A couple of days later, coming back to the Keystone State. Right now, doing pretty well, running inside the top 10 for GTLM. And John Andrews beginning to pull away a little bit from Caleb Rose in that 3 machine. But other than that incident with Carson Miller going head-on into the safer barrier in turn 1, no real incidents to really write home about, aside from that incident in Justin Williams getting shoved off the road in the 86, I believe. Trying to see where Justin Williams is in the pack, and there he is. Remember, he got shoved off on lap number 4, I believe. So a really tough start to the race for your Denver Roval winner, but he's trying to weather the storm a little bit. Right now, 21st on the pylon for GT Le Mans. Of course, Roberto Crown Jr. in 20th, a couple of cars in front of him. And right now, this points battle, the way things are running right now, I don't think Esteban Leclerc is going to close in a ton, because Leclerc right now back in 4th. So he's given up a spot to Connor Monaco, who started in the outside pole. So the way they run right now for GT Daytona, we can do some quick math. That 66 running in 4th. He might lose another spot here to the 8. As trying to get around some of the slower GT Le Mans cars is that 99 as Bradley Reen wants that spot back away from Nathan Buchanan. Here he goes to the inside. So those two fighting for some spots. So here's Bruno Giacomo under fire there. Now Daniel Bouchard's Mustang starting to come to life as he's to the inside of Esteban Lasser. I believe the way they run right now, Lasser would only be within maybe about 35, 40 points, if that, of that 26 machine. So again, Dylan Matthews, she does not have the championship locked up mathematically by any stretch of the imagination. You're just looking for a clean next couple of races, which looking so good so far. You go back to last week or last race, the last race at Bridgehampton a month and a half ago. You know, she did the spin and win for GT Daytona. So pretty good result there for that 26. About 16 laps to go in this opening pit run here. In case you're just tuning in, only 2 cars are out of the race so far as Carson Miller and Alexander Rowe got tangled up going into turn number 1. It's John Andrews who has led all 20 laps for GT Le Mans so far. Of course, that is subject to change once we get shuffled up in this grand set of pit stops we got coming up. Again, the pit window around lap number 35. Lap 34, it will officially open. With we expect these cars to do about 34 to 36 laps. For 2 sets of pit stops, and that second round of pit stops with about 20 laps to go. It's going to be pretty darn crucial, I'd say so myself, as Andrews continuing to lead. As the ticker will reset, you might notice that we've got some signals. We've got some identification markers on our scrolling pylon, which signify the red with the red background with white numbers. Those are the GT Le Mans leaders, the GT Le Mans drivers, I should say. And then the white background with red numbers, those are the GT Daytona cars, where they currently are out on track. With Nathan Buchanan right now with a wide lead over Bruno Giacomo, about a 2.5 second lead over Giacomo, who was under heavy fire from GT Le Mans cars that he had passed. Eric Monaco doesn't look like he's going to get 2 wins in a row. Won Tuesday night for the Loves American Truck Series and is looking to surpass Mitchell Collins. He's the all-time winningest driver as he let up a lot on the gas going through turn number 1. That's going to let a line of cars get around that Shell Pennzoil number 2. But Giacomo was in the middle of battling with a line of heavy lap traffic at the back, and he is letting Nathan Buchanan a little bit out of his gun sights right now on lap 23. These Daytona cars running about 7 seconds faster than their Trek counterparts. Of course, the Truck Series ran about a minute lap times. Of course, these guys running right now fastest lap belong to Riley Sampson at 53.9. See, pretty much everybody here running about 54 to 56 second laps. 54 for the Le Mans guys and 56 for the Daytona crowd. As per usual, GT Le Mans, pretty spread out all things considered, but now, again, there's only about a 2-mile road course, so it is very tiny. And catching up to the back end of lap traffic is very prevalent here at Autumn Hill, as Ryan Durrani is likely going to be the first car on the chopping block, and this is where the poop is going to hit the proverbial fan. It's John Andrews coming back on the lap traffic. Looks like Justin Williams is going to be the first car to be put a lap down after sustaining damage hitting the outside Armco. So there's Andrews in the 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Le Mans cars come down the pit lane here on lap 24, because, again, you can do 35 laps. So that would make you pit around lap 60. That'd be very close pitting on lap 60, so I think these guys they might come down lap 30, maybe even probably stick to their numbers, come down lap 35, because they can do about 36, 37 laps. But traversing around lap traffic as Ryan Durrani does some agricultural work in the 16. This is going to be where the race definitely changes and where we're going to see a lot of chaos transpire as Ryan Durrani will let the faster race hardware Jaguar to the inside of him. He's trying to fight on the outside, but it's futile. The fastest Le Mans car versus the slowest Daytona car, and Durrani will let the race leader get past him, but now Andrews a little bit of trouble trying to get around this stricken 86. He's going to go up to the high side, gets a nice toe going into turn number 1. Oh, he has to get on the brakes a little bit, and here comes Caleb Rose. Rose with a big swing, not able to get in front of that 3 machine, but he's right on the rear end of that Ace Hardware Jaguar going through Accident Alley. It's on the bed of the inside lane. How much these drivers have to check up going into turn number 1 on that inside portion. Really, we saw it on the opening start, where the inside got pretty much jammed up. But now Andrews continue to be right on the rear bumper of that 86. Might give him a little bit of a shove trying to get around him. Goes a little bit wide, trying to take the long way around that 86. And here comes Caleb Rose, the Colonel, looking for that second win of the season. These leaders having to traverse around lap traffic. This is where things are going to get dicey here. As Andrews is around the 86. Now we'll see what Caleb can do to try to get around Justin Williams. As lap traffic continues to be a pain in the neck as Alex Lozano has got some rear end damage in the 43. He is currently a lap down. He had to come down the pit lane. So something transpiring on the 43 machine. So a tough break for Alex Lozano. It's really been a tough year for Lozano. 2025, only 1 win on the season in any series he has competed in so far. That win coming at the Talladega Superspeedway in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. So hey, you got 1 race win. It came at the highest echelon of racing here on the NESRN, so you can't really complain too much. But his truck team trying to get things going, struggling out of the gate, both him and Cason Del Monte as drivers. The owner-driver of Alex Lozano in that 07 right now, in danger of going 2 laps down in the 43 is Igor Barreto on the chopping block for GT Daytona. Current points leader and championship favorite for the Loves American Truck Series at that in that 14. In his traditional livery, and he is going to force John Andrews to go into the grass to make that pass. Andrews still with the inside lane, and he's going to give Barreto the number 1 signal going up through the window. Carson Hocevar style, as now the battle for second is on for GT Le Mans. A big run down the front straightaway for Owen Miles, but he has to check up going through 1. Finger slip, that's why the ticker was turned off there for a brief moment. Miles looking for a really good run going through Accident Alley. But now John Andrews up to his largest lead of the afternoon, about 5 laps out from the pit window officially opening up here. And do we have any early takers on the undercut? We've got Justin Williams, who's down the pit lane. He's going to take 4 tires all the way around. Fill that gas tank full of octane racing fuel. He'll be out and away for the first car to make a scheduled pit stop this afternoon. But Andrews checking out like he's at Hotel California. A 2.5 lead over Caleb Rose. Make that 2.5 seconds now. That last time by. So he is flying out of there as Rose is in the middle of lap traffic. Trying to get around Kasumi Takashi in that number 46 machine, and Takashi trying to move to the inside of the 14 of Barreto. Trying to make it 3 wide there was Caleb Rose and thought better of it. So Rose doing his darndest to try to get around some lap traffic, but he's stuck behind a lot of them, and that's just going to allow John Andrews to keep on getting that clean air out in front of him and continue to open up this race lead. As Rose still stuck on the outside lane of that 46, and Takashi not holding up. Those two drivers both winning their respective classes in Mexico City, but they are not friends on the racetrack by any stretch of the imagination. Rose finally able to get around the Bud Light Mustang, but at a very significant cost as John Andrews, the big 4-second lead. Again, still a handful of laps away from our opening pit stop of the afternoon. Up in here for GT Daytona's lead, and it is still being held by Nathan Buchanan, with a 3-second lead of his own over the one of Bruno Diacomo. Aaron Abel has fallen a little bit ways back of the 26, so Dylan Matthews now within striking distance of Esteban Lasser. And the last thing Lasser needs is to finish behind Dylan Matthews, because, again, Lasser has right now got a car separating him from the 26. He's 100 points behind Dylan Matthews, and any ground that Dylan Matthews is able to put in front of that 66, the more positions between those two, as I thought Michael Brown was blowing up there for a brief second. He was just a little bit slow coming out of Accident Alley. Any ground that he's able to put into is now we're going to have some takers down the pit lane. Esteban Lasser trying to finish in front of that 26, but here we go. Opening set of pit stops are here. And only a couple of takers on lap number 32. Angel Gutierrez, Reggie Fogelman. Among the cars down the pit lane, Nathan Stapleton, Dano Georgi, and Nathan Stapleton, Logan Williams, Eric Monaco, but here we go. The back end of the field will come down, including the race leader of John Andrews for his opening pit stop of the afternoon, 33 laps into the event. So it looks like everybody is going to try and short pit a little bit here, trying to split this race into thirds. But it's Andrews, first one to his pit stall. Caleb Rose right behind him in stall number 2. Angel Gutierrez out and away off a 4-tire pit stop for pretty much everybody. A couple of drivers electing to take a half tank of gas. Not going to have any Daytona takers just quite yet. An extended stop for a lot of drivers as Aguirre Sato is going to get out. Sebastian Palmer is out in front. We had some contact somewhere off of the pit lane. I heard it. But John Andrews with a very slow stop in that 3 machine. And Caleb Rose and everybody's going to get out in front of him. So a very slow stop for your GT Le Mans leader. And Skylar Taylor coming down the pit lane in the 45 to make her first pit stop of the afternoon. We saw some drivers have some speeding penalties on the pit lane. I believe that was probably the case there for John Andrews, speeding on pit lane. It's Mike Vincent Jr. Jack will drop on his pit stop. Same thing with Skylar Taylor, and Taylor, I believe, is now going to cycle to the race lead here, thanks to a very long pit stop. And now the GT Daytona leader of Nathan Buchanan will come down the pit lane for his opening stop of the afternoon. 4 BF Goodrich tires going all the way around, but that is a costly mistake out of John Andrews, who led the opening 31 laps of this race. For Dylan Matthews, it's a little bit of a jam up coming off of the pit lane, and Aaron Abel with a slow stop in the 98 as well. So a lot of drivers with pit road issues. And Nathan Stapleton, he's got damage on the right-hand side of that car. I believe he was the one that had some damage coming off of the pit area. No surprise, Skylar Taylor out front in the 45. Like we've said a couple of different times already, won the Loves American Truck Series race here. Knows this track like the back of her hand. It's her home track here for the FMGTC. That is a significant gut punch for a lot of different drivers, especially John Andrews, Caleb Rose. Costly speeding penalties you do not want to get, and unfortunately that seemed to be the case. And right now that 4-second race lead for John Andrews now to a 19-second deficit behind the 45 of Skylar Taylor. And now cycles to the race lead in the 45. Now trying to fight in the back here is Caleb Rose and John Andrews. A lot of drivers got shuffled back off the racetrack. That's Michelle Gavineau. A little bit off, slides back up. Nobody was home, thankfully, but same thing for Sebastian Palmer. A little bit wide off of turn number 2. Both those drivers are able to keep their wheels underneath of them, and Aguirre Sato also got shuffled back in the 49, I believe, because now Mike Vincent Jr. way ahead of Aguirre Sato, only by 5 spots, so not the biggest deficit in the world there for Sato. But again, 45 points separating those two. Vincent Jr. right now running in second. That would net him 95 points. And Sato in 7th. See what the gap would be between those two. 20 points would be the gap going into the season finale at Riverside. It's still in Sato's favor. So Sato right now back to 8th. So now that gap right now would be 15th. And some big time rear end damage on the back end of Michael Brown. So he is going to come down the pit lane once again after getting stuffed in the rear end. Not sure what the deal was there for Brown, but a tough break for last year's champion. And this was really the race where things started to break his way in that championship fight. Aaron Abel in deep lap traffic right now in the back. Nathan Buchanan still the race leader. I'm trying to see what that 26 car is. I believe she's pretty much ahead of everybody. Yeah, she's right on the back end of Matt Lagasse. This battle for 7th right now. Lagasse trying to hold on as much as he can. And Aaron Abel, we got one car around, and that's Dano Georgi off track in turn number 11. So Georgi having issues in the 0-2. That's a definite tough break for him. It's not been a good season for Dano Georgi. Doesn't have any wins this season. Right now he's going to continue to flounder in the point standings, not being eligible for the championship. Safe to say that Budweiser car might get changed once again. Back to what they ran. Riley Sampson way off course in the 36. Back down in front of John Andrews, and he's able to hold on to it. sigh of relief, but some tire tracks here in Accident Alley. You'll have seen the replay by now, but I believe that's what happened to the 25 of Brown. So I believe the driver's starting to get a little bit more aggressive here and there. As Taylor continues to be on the back end of lap traffic in the 45 as a 2 1/4 second lead over Vincent Jr. Still a very long way to go as Taylor, who is essentially out of the championship fight, especially with Vincent Jr. running in second. Last thing you want. Rather, she's out of the championship fight, she's just going for wins. Last thing you want if you're Vincent Jr. is for Aguirre Sato to gain any more spots on you. Sato back in 7th with a relatively spirited battle for 7th place over Owen Miles. Right now, setting his sights on Gavinue for that 6th spot. The gap, like we said, as long as that 49 car is in second, the gap between the two is going to be 20 points. And now Bryce Egan, a little bit of a shove to the back end of the 22 machine. Some shoves here and there. No harm, no foul, and getting very loose going through turn 1 was Owen Miles. Miles, who right now is on just about the tail end of the leading lap. Actually, he's 14 seconds off, so he's not on the tail end of the lead lap, but he's pretty far off from the race lead right now. Closing in on halfway home through the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill. It has been a good one so far. It hasn't been as chaotic as it was last year, but it's been a darn good race to watch here. Of course, setting up for a crazy race at Riverside in about a month's time on Christmas Day. And if this points battle continues to hold up, this is going to be a dogfight for the championship for GT Le Mans. And Dylan Matthews trying to not make it a dogfight for the championship for GT Daytona. Remember, that was her championship last year. She had it in the bag, but wrecking out in the final 2 races. And it looks like she's got a little bit of damage on the left-hand side of that UPS machine, so she is not immune for a little bit of contact there. So a tough break for Matthews. That's going to definitely slow her car down bit by bit here. And she is a lap down, but she does have an advantage over Aaron Abel. We'll see where Abel is on the racetrack right now. Yeah, he is, I believe, 2 laps down as of this last time by. No, he's just a single lap down. Abel 32nd on the pylon. And now Caleb Rose goes off track. This is in front of Abel. Hold on. And he's just barely able to hold on. We've seen a lot of cars through Accident Alley do some agricultural work last season. They go off and they wreck the next car behind them. Riley Sampson hooks Alex Lozano hard into the wall, and around goes the 43. So Lozano's bad day will get worse as that BG Products Mustang will likely be the 3rd car. No, he's not going to come down the pits. I think he wanted to come down the pit area, but he is going to have to do an extra lap around. But a bad day getting even worse. He's going to show the hometown fans what a damaged Ford Mustang really looks like. A very tough break for Lozano, and with Nathan Buchanan coming in here as the GT Daytona leader, and now John Andrews has gone around an Accident Alley. So now the craziness starting to pick up here at Autumn Hill right at the midway point through this race And the dominant driver, the opening 31 laps, has officially fallen out of the contention for the race win. I believe he got tied up with Igor Barreto. The 43 staying way out of the way. Here comes Skylar Taylor. Get around this 43 machine, I believe. Might have a little bit of trouble getting around Alex Lozano. But Lozano will pull off into the pit area, and he will come down and will likely retire from the afternoon. Really, really tough break for Alex Lozano at the end of this one. But Skylar Taylor sees the cross flags flying in the Autumn Hill wind. And we're officially halfway home through the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill. And it has been a good one so far. And it'll be a good one once we come back here just a couple of moments after our opening commercial, our only commercial break of the afternoon. Skylar Taylor leads as you see the top 5 for GT Daytona. Oh boy, nearly a little bit of contact there. But the top 5 for GT Le Mans on your screen. And for GT Daytona, Nathan Buchanan leads if we can find him on the track. There he is in that Menards 99. Could today be the day that Menards 99 machine wins for GT Daytona? We'll find out here in just about 45 minutes time. You're watching today's afternoon coverage of the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill. Happy Turkey Day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back after some messages here on the North American Sim Racing Network.
Bourbon sauce, and brown sugar bacon, and Angus steak, and a top bun? This shit look nasty as fuck! Barbies, we have the beef.
Dude, check the news. It doesn't matter what channel.
Welcome back to today's coverage of the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill, the penultimate race of the 2025 season of the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship, live from the Autumn Hill Raceway. My name is Trey Wright from the North American Sim Racing Network. We're 48 laps this time by into the second to last race of the season. 3 cars knocked out of the race so far, all of them for GT Daytona. But it's the King of Prussia, Pennsylvania native of Skylar Taylor, the Pied Piper of Autumn Hill, leading the way for GT Le Mans so far. After our only commercial break of the afternoon, runs up on the back end of the 8. That's that Coke Zero machine of Daniel Bouchard. And Taylor will get to the inside. We'll put 2 cars a further lap down. And now that 78 of Mike Vincent Jr. just looking for a good run. But the point standings right now, with that 49 of Aguirre Sato currently running in the 6th spot, Sato would have a 25-point lead over Mike Vincent Jr. going into the season finale race at Riverside in just about a month's time as Juan Rodriguez goes up the racetrack in the 75. Of course, your championship leader for GT Daytona, Dylan Matthews, a little bit of damage on that number 26 machine. But it's been hanging tough right now. So Nathan Buchanan leads for GT Daytona currently. Finding him deep in the pack. I believe he's 14th right now. Somewhere there he is. It'll be 40 laps to go this time by in what has been a fantastic race so far at Autumn Hill. It was John Andrews dominating the early stint of the race. Led the opening 31 laps, but a slow pit stop for a lot of drivers completely shook up the running order. Skylar Taylor leading the way, but now has only a 2.5 lead over Mike Vincent Jr., and that lead was about 3 seconds at one point. Some fresh tire tracks going through Accident Alley. Did anybody further have an accident. So we saw what happened to John Andrews and Igor Barreto, and those two nose to tail. That might be a little bit troublesome for both of those drivers. They go through turn number 1. Andrews has been the only GT Le Mans driver to have some sort of incident this afternoon. He currently runs 13th in GTLM, but the lot caught in the middle of a lot of lap traffic is Skylar Taylor, and this was she didn't face a whole lot of lap traffic when she won the Loves American Truck Series race here on Saturday afternoon, but now she is having to traverse around some lap traffic. Connor Monaco, Bruno Diacomo in the way, and here comes that 78, who was 79 one-thousandths of a second, or hundredths of a second behind that 45, and he's going to go for the race lead. So remember, these two drivers that finished 1-2 in that 9 one-thousandths of a second photo finish at Daytona back in January. And just like that with ease, Mike Vincent Jr. out front in the race lead. Vincent Jr. looking for that 3rd win of the season, but more importantly looking to put a little bit more distance between himself, and now here comes the 45 once again, side by side for the race lead in GTLM. Remember, Mike Vincent Jr. trying to catch up as much as he can to Aguirre Sato, who right now runs in 6th for the championship. Well, the slide job there is a 78, but he's still stuck behind the 21. Let's see what Skylar Taylor can do. Again, we still have a pit stop to go, which will be right at around the lap 66 mark. So these guys will come down probably around lap, or about 13 or so laps. But Vincent Jr. holding serve. He's getting some laps led. Remember, those are bonus points. Skylar Taylor all over the back end of that 78, and these two leaders have a about a 10-second lead over Michael Lewis, who right now runs in 2nd, but these two on top of one another. And Vincent Jr. gave up the race lead once again at the stripe. I didn't even notice that. Skylar Taylor's back out front. This time a pretty big margin there for the 45. Taylor just trying to get around Monaco here, but getting around lap traffic with worn out BF Goodrich is easier said than done. Trying to go the long way around the 21, not going to work. Monaco's going to throw the block, however, and here comes the 78. Vincent Jr. looking for another really good run. It's going to have this inside lane going through turn number 2. Taylor throws the brakes on, and Vincent Jr. back out front in the 78. These two battling, that's a 1.5 seconds closed in by Michael Lewis. So if these two continue to swap the lead, like they're trading some stocks on the floor of Wall Street, that's going to make this a 3-car battle in no time. But Vincent Jr. cannot get around Monaco and Diacomo. And again, these two, they're fighting to stay on the lead lap for GT Daytona, because these guys are running 2nd and 3rd right now in GTD. So they're fervorously, I think they're trying to get a little push to the front, as now Igor Barreto has blown up on the front straightaway. That is the 4th GT Daytona car to have an issue, and he's right in front of the race leaders. Get out of the way, and he's going to fortunately teleport in time. And that was a little too close for comfort there, as Barreto's afternoon will end. Skylar Taylor now being held up by Connor Monaco, who's trying to get back on the lead lap. Vincent Jr. will shoot around the one machine of Diacomo. And now 2 lap cars are between the GTLM leaders right now. And now the 2 race leaders, not necessarily nose to tail here. Nathan Buchanan has got a sizable gap over the rest of them, about a 45-second gap that last time by. As Dylan Matthews is in the pit lane. And did she have an engine issue as well? I don't think she did, but she's got a lot of damage. Oh my goodness. Nope, actually, just relative scheduled pit stop. Had a little bit of a heart attack there, I believe. So a scheduled pit stop there out of the 26 team, and I thought Dylan Matthews may have sold the barn, but again, you know, we've got 34 laps to go. That is very, very close on fuel for Matthews. And she might be trying to stretch to play this undercut a little bit well. Of course, we saw the overcut work pretty well to a T. As we go back to the race leaders. Action all the way around the track. Reggie Fogelman down the pit lane. He's got some damage on the left-hand side of that 06. Dano Georgi is out. Trying to find where the top two are as Alex, or rather Mike Vincent Jr. Did he come down the pit lane? Or am I just stupid and I missed him? Oh, no, Mike Vincent Jr. is just out in the race lead. He's got a 2-second lead over the 45 as finally Skylar Taylor will get around Connor Monaco, which seems like for the first time in forever. And we're going to have to see when these drivers will make their final pit stop of the afternoon. But again, with 33 laps to go, these drivers are well within the window to come down, and we're going to see some takers trying to shake up their strategies. Again, Mike Vincent Jr. came down on lap number 34. So probably lap number 68, I would gauge, would be the lap that Vincent Jr. would come down if he's going to play his strategy a little bit more out. Same thing with Skylar Taylor. Both of these guys came down on lap 34. So it's a little bit early for some of these drivers to come down as John Andrews, the pole sitter, with a very beat-up rear end to that 3 machine. Comes down the pit lane. Hopefully has a little bit better of a stop than he did, but of course with all that rear end damage, better said than done. Kasumi Takashi is also down the pit lane. Nathan Buchanan will stay out. Mike Vincent Jr. will get to lap number 60. Kenny's got about 8 or so laps. Or he'll have to come down the pit lane once again if he's going to remain on that strategy of 34. And I don't hate that strategy. Try to go as far as you can on fuel and have the freshest tires at the end. It's all about tires and track position. It's all about staying ahead of that 49. Zagira Sato remain on the same strategy as he was at the front end of the field when he came down, had a little bit of a slow stop, came back out, and was behind that 78 machine, so he knows that he definitely needs to stay within striking distance of that Mike Vincent Jr. machine. 30 laps to go here at Autumn Hill. Only 4 cars are out of the race, and it was Igor Barreto. It was labeled as an accident for Barreto, so 4 cars are out. All of them are for GT Daytona, and now Kasumi Takashi nearly getting run over by Reggie Fogelman. That would have been dicey as Takashi. Got to be careful with that 45 getting around her. The gap now, 2.1 seconds between the 78 and the 45. Justin Williams will come off of the pit lane to make his final pit stop. Same thing for Nathan Stapleton, Angel Gutierrez. Gutierrez out and away, swings a little bit wide. Oh, and Justin Williams way off track, and he's going to slam the other side of that 86 into the wall. So we got the right-hand side, the left-hand side of that car earlier on in the race, and now he's dinged up the right-hand side. Very tough outing there for that number 86 machine. Just coming off the pit lane and re-damage whatever that team was able to fix. Andrews currently 1 lap down after getting some repairs on the pit lane. And now the 98 and the 26 are relatively nose to tail. 98, is Aaron able to lap down is my biggest question. Because right now, is the 98 right now 23rd. I think Aaron Abel is ahead of the 26. Yeah, he is ahead. Because, yeah, Dylan Matthews is 2 laps down right now because the leaders have not come down the pit lane yet. And Aaron Abel trying to put that 26 car a lap down, so this is going to play into the wheelhouse of Abel. Abel right now 23rd on the pylon, so that would be I believe 11th for Aaron Abel, and Dylan Matthews is currently 14th, so about maybe a 20-point swing going into Riverside, so we could have 2 really exciting championship battles. As here we go. Skylar Taylor down the pit lane. Mike Vincent Jr. will stay out for an extra lap, and this is the money stop with 27 to go. I expect 4 fresh tires going all the way around that 45. We'll see if Vincent Jr. will come down the pit lane at all, looking to the top side of the pylon. And Taylor, a little bit of a slow stop there on the 45, just making sure they've got that gas tank full of race fuel. Out and away will be a Garasado, and here comes Vincent Jr. to make his final pit stop. Another slow stop for Caleb Rose. He's going to be able to make his way through. But here is Mike Vincent Jr. 12 laps led on the afternoon so far, so that's going to be an additional bonus point. Going to watch for that brown A&W 45 to come back out. Dylan Matthews will get 1 of her laps back. Waiting to see where that 45 will come out. Jack is dropped on the 78. Away he goes. Don't see the 45 just yet. There she is, top side of your screen, coming off of turn number 11. This might be close. This is going to be very close here for GT Le Mans. Might not be as close as we initially thought, as Vincent Jr. still getting up to speed, trying to grab a gear as fast as he can. Same thing with Nathan Buchanan. And it looks like both leaders for both classes made their final stops without any sort of incident. Bryce Egan right now being shown in second as he will make his final pit stop of the afternoon. Riley Sampson in third, and I believe that'll all cycle out this time around with timing and scoring. So this is going to be a huge moment for Mike Vincent Jr. Just trying to survive for the next 25 laps. Same thing for Nathan Buchanan, who has to complete 1 less lap than Mike Vincent Jr. or than the rest of his GT Daytona counterparts. Or, yeah, just has to complete 1 less lap than GT Le Mans. So this is a really good spot for Nathan Buchanan. Actually, Connor Monaco is being scored as the race leader. Did Monaco get out in front of him? No, Monaco is behind. everything should cycle back around for Nathan Buchanan to be the race leader, because Connor Monaco is still with, I don't know. Connor Monaco is still with the one machine of Bruno Diacomo, I believe. Nathan Buchanan, he is going to cycle out to be the race leader. He's now under fire from the 45. It is going to be Nathan Buchanan, in fact, by about, call it 7 seconds between the 99 and the 21 of Connor Monaco. So on lap number 67, the fateful lap number 67, the 78 of Mike Vincent Jr. looking for that third win of the season. You gotta go back to the first couple of races in 2025, because I remember a driver winning 2 races in a row. It was not Daniel Bouchard. Daniel Bouchard got 2 wins in the first 3 races, but it was Mike Vincent Jr. won the Daytona 2.4 by 9 1/1000ths of a second, and then took advantage of some shenanigans and chicanery in the late stages of the Napa, California Grand Prix at Willow Springs to win that race. It was up until this week, up until this month, I should say, that he finally relented to the points lead, held the points lead for pretty much the entirety of the season. And he does not have the points lead coming into today. He's looking to change that in spades. But right now, Aguirre Sato runs in 5th, and Vincent Jr. on the back end of the 97 of Nathan Stapleton. Vincent Jr. still has lap traffic to try to traverse around, but on lap number 69, can Skylar Taylor catch up to the 78? It was about 4 3/4 of a second between the two that last time by, and now knocking off half a second to Skylar Taylor. So Taylor's definitely coming. But again, Vincent Jr., 1 lap fresher tires than that 45. So how long can those tires hold on for Skylar Taylor? And can she potentially go 3 for 3 here at Autumn Hill? Michael Lewis might have a shot at this race victory. Yeah, he's 7 seconds back of the 78, so he's going to need a lot of things to break his way. Same thing for Zachary Fitzwater and Aguirre Sato. This might be the end of the road for Fitzwater. To the inside of the 2. I wouldn't say it's the end of the road for Fitzwater. He was 50 points back of the race lead of Aguirre Sato. And he was actually, he was 5 points back of Mike Vincent Jr. coming into this joint. You know, Fitzy, if he's able to catch up, he's able to maybe take 4th away as Justin Williams on the pit lane once again in the 86. I believe he had some sort of mechanical issue, maybe even another incident. That's going to be the end of the afternoon for that 86. A very, very tough outing there. All afternoon long for him. But this is going to be a fierce championship battle for GT Le Mans. We've got 3 drivers up in here that have got a really good shot of this championship. Riley Sampson fell back. He's currently in 12th. He was 89 points back of Aguirre Sato and about 44 back of Mike Vincent Jr. I think Riley's going to be the 4th man in. He might have a mathematical chance of this championship, but in all likelihood, it's going to come down to Aguirre Sato, Mike Vincent Jr., and Zachary Fitzwater for this GTLM title. And then for GT Daytona, Aaron Abel right now in 12th, and Dylan Matthews in 14th. So Abel is going to close in by about 10 or so points on that 26. But again, we still got 20 laps to decide the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill. It's been a really great race so far. Not nearly as chaotic as we thought it was going to be. As a little bit off track there was the 2, as Eric Monaco has had a rough outing. Zachary Fitzwater right now trying to catch up to that 56 of Michael Lewis. And Skylar Taylor has gotten caught behind lap traffic. She is right behind that 90 machine of Angel Gutierrez, and getting around lap traffic has been Mike Vincent Jr. Vincent Jr. has been just really, really strong in this race. You know, when he didn't exactly come out of nowhere, but started 13th on the grid. Took advantage of some slow pit stops by a couple of leaders, and Angel Gutierrez got punted on the outside wall. It may have gotten a little bit of help from Skylar Taylor, who was a little bit impatient with a Home Depot number 90 car. So that is a tough break for Gutierrez, who was already a lap down. Just got shoved off of the racetrack is now Michael Lewis. Trying to get around Nathan Stapleton, and Michael Lewis trying to take second away from Skylar Taylor, who was quickly seeing this race slip out of her grasp. Got 18 laps to go, and Vincent Jr. has led 20 so far, would lead his 21st, and would need to lead 11 more laps to get the most laps led bonus. Or put a little bit of more ground between him and Aguirre Sato. So all you're looking for is Vincent Jr. just trying to get as many bonus points as you can. Riley Sampson right now with the fastest lap in GT Daytona, or GT Le Mans. We don't know what this, the fastest lap in GT Daytona. That's belonging to Colin Bear in the 9. Tatiana Nagora right now in front of that 78 machine as he tries to go the long way around. Up the racetrack he goes. Same thing with Nagora. Now Vincent Jr. right on the rear bumper of that 22 machine. Does he put the chrome horn on the back end of that Pennzoil Viper? Gap between him and the 45. 4.65 seconds, and Vincent Jr. trying to go the long way around that Viper. Nagora a little bit off course. Those two side by side, but Vincent Jr. will finally get around the 22. Next on the chopping block, Dylan Matthews was trying to catch up to Aaron Abel, but Abel about a quarter, making maybe about half a mile in front of that 26 machine. Five cars out of the race for them. GT Daytonas as Justin Williams officially pulled that 86 behind the wall. $15 laps to go in the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill. In a race that we thought was going to be bat guano insane, like it was last year, but this year, only one bad accident so far. There's been a couple of little minor wrecks here and there, nothing really too much to write home about. In fact, the Loves American Truck Series race was a little bit more chaotic than this. Taylor has been able to get that race lead down to 3 3/4 of a second. That deficit to the race lead down to 3 3/4 of a second. 14 laps to go. She needs Vincent Jr. to run into a lot of trouble here over these next 14 laps. She wants to get back in the conversation. Knocking off another couple hundredths of a second. As we go back into here to GT Daytona, which has been relatively quiet as a church mouse, a little bit too quiet for Nathan Buchanan. who has dominated the race so far, but Connor Monaco is starting to reel his way in. He has got a 3-second deficit to try to catch up to the back end of that 99, and now around, that's Nathan Stapleton, has gone around an accident alley in that JBL Krispy Kreme 97 machine with a lot of rear end damage. Tough break for Stapleton, and now Buchanan. That was right in front of Buchanan, in fact, trying to get around Angel Gutierrez. How about this for Zachary Fitzwater to 4th? Aguirre Sato in 5th. Vincent Jr. has been able to get around Dylan Matthews, tiptoeing his way through the tulips here. Taylor around Nagora, still about 3.5 seconds back of the 78. Still some lap traffic in the way. 2 Daytona cars and a slowed up GT Le Mans. Track is absolutely not clear, and a little bit of a slide job there for Michael Brown. He's fortunately able to hold on to that, but that is right in front of the GTLM leader. As these three all in line with one another. Back to Buchanan, who is increased at least. Something happened. I don't know what the heck happened to Connor Monaco, but he has lost another second to that 99 car. Looks like Zachary Fitzwater's got a little bit of rear end damage in the 62, so here comes Sato. That would be a 10-point swing between those drivers and the GTLM points if Sato is able to get around Fitzy. Sato's able to get around Fitzwater. That would be a 55-point swing, and you can see a lot of rear-end damage on that Bass Pro Shops Corvette. 11 laps to go as Sato looking to make a move around Fitzwater. Fitzwater shuts the door. Those two nose to tail. We go back through Accident Alley. Skylar Taylor behind Matthews right now as Nagora under fire from Lewis. Taylor will now cut to the inside of Dylan Matthews, and Matthews will just let that 45 car pass. Back in here we go. We got some more lap traffic in front of the 78. As Vincent Jr. with a 5-second lead over Skylar Taylor, but he's got to traverse around a lot of lap traffic, starting with Blake Beauville. Beauville will get out of the way for the time being, trying to run back up on that 78. Vincent Jr. will hold firm for now. Now catching up to Michael Brown, who's been a little bit of a loose cannon on the track. 9.5 laps to go from Autumn Hill. Reggie Fogelman is also going to be a lap down issue. Same thing with Eric Monaco. Aaron Abel, maybe even Dano Georgi and Riley Sampson looking for a little bit of a spot here. Dano Georgi is a lap down, so Sampson will get around him. Brown, way wide going through the corner and having to check up a lot was Vincent Jr. That allowed the 45 to close in by half a second. Nine laps to go. Vincent Jr. trying to hold on there in that 78. Trying to get around some more lap traffic. Is having a little bit of trouble getting around Michael Brown, Reggie Fogelman out in front. Back there for Nathan Buchanan, that gap between the 99 and the 21 for GT Daytona, now 5 seconds. Skylar Taylor down to 3.5. Remember, Skylar Taylor is going to have to get around these lap cars as well, so she's not out of the woods. A little bit off track. Oh, baby. That's going to open the door for the 25 as Vincent Jr. just able to hold on. Skylar Taylor knows the time is now. She's gunning her way through the S's as Vincent Jr. swings back down to the low side of the 25. Trying to pick off that CarQuest Auto Parts Viper. It's the winner of the CarQuest Auto Parts Fall Classic. Trying to close in on this race lead for GT Le Mans. It's a 2-for-1 special for getting around lap GT Daytona cars. Trying to get around Reggie Fogelman is the 78. 7 to go at the line for Vincent Jr. And that time by, Skylar Taylor closed in down to 2 seconds. But now she's got 3 lap down cars to try to get around. But could Vincent Jr. make that same mistake once again? He goes up the racetrack now trying to get around Dano Georgi. Trying to go the long way around that Budweiser Camry. Same thing with Eric Monaco, and he does it with ease. 2-for-1 Thursday afternoon special there for Mike Vincent Jr. And that might be all she wrote for Skylar Taylor, who has got 5 lap cars to try to get around in short order, and these guys are going double file. Taylor throwing it in there, trying to get around the 0-2 and the 2. 6 laps to go, and now the only lap cars in front of the 78 are the 3 and the 98. And that gap now 2.5 seconds as Taylor trying to make fervorous work. Now Michael Lewis is back into the fray here on the 56. He's looking for second here, so Taylor might have to worry about this battle for second as Lewis is absolutely chugging along in that Jaguar. He's within a straightaway of that 45 as Mike Vincent Jr. has gotten around the 11, trying to get around the 3. Count 'em, 5 laps to go for Mike Vincent Jr. Skylar Taylor back on the same straightaway as the 78. But how much time did she lose? It's going to be a lot of time. Lost 2 seconds. Messing around in lap traffic. Nathan Buchanan back in here. He will get the 5, count 'em, 5 laps to go. From the flag man in the flag stand. Same thing for Connor Monaco. Tantalizingly close to getting a win here in the 21. Same thing for Bruno Diacomo in the 1. This battle continues to rage on for 4th for GT Le Mans. Skylar Taylor trying to get around Blake Beauville. Lewis trying to catch up to the 45 Jaguar. 4 to go for Vincent Jr. at the stripe. Don't think he's going to have to worry about Abel. He might not even have to worry about the 3. Actually, he might have to worry about both of them. But after he's able to get around those cars, he's thankful because if this race is any longer, that is a long line of lap down cars that he would have to get around. Now the gap, 4.5 seconds. Lewis on the back end of Taylor. And Taylor still has not been able to solve the lap down traffic of Beauville. Taylor trying to fend off second place. Fend off third place, I should say. Trying to get to the inside of the 11. Might have a little bit of a run. They'll be door to door with 3 to go. Not able to get the run. On the inside, though, was the 45, and Beauville will hold up, will let the A&W Jaguar pass. Same thing with the 56 as his battle for second. It's going to rage on a lot here. Mike Vincent Jr., 35 laps led on the afternoon. That is an additional 10 bonus points. Aguirre Sato right now trying to hold on or trying to get fourth away from Zachary Fitzwater. Sticks high in the air, 2 laps to go. Skylar Taylor running out of time, and Michael Lewis trying to take second away from her. But for Mike Vincent Jr., he's caught up to the back end of John Andrews. Led 31 laps earlier this afternoon. For Andrews, you're wondering what could have been. For Mike Vincent Jr., you're just praying for a clean next lap and a half. Don't even have to worry about getting around the lap down cars. You got a 5.5 second lead over Skylar Taylor. There's been the Pied Piper of Autumn Hill. I'm just going to finish one position short here this afternoon. By the looks of it is Vincent Jr. trying to get around this 3 machine. White flag is in the air. One more time around Autumn Hill for Mike Vincent Jr. He's going to get to the inside of the 3. He's going to hold up a little bit going on the inside, and he's just trying to break his way off from some shenanigans that might transpire with the lap down cars. He's just trying to back away, trying to drag the brake a little bit as much as you can. Got a 5-second lead over that 45. Got lap traffic in front of him that could break loose at any moment. For Nathan Buchanan, it's a 4-second lead over Connor Monaco, and Vincent Jr. trying to get aggressive. Oh, he's going to shoot the gap between the 98 and the 3. Oh my lord, I don't know if that's going to work. He's going to try to get around John Andrews off of the final corner. And here comes Andrews off of turns 3 and 4. Mike Vincent Jr., I should say. 3rd win of the season. And Mike Vincent Jr. is going to make this a championship in a month. Skylar Taylor finishes in 2nd. The 56 will finish in 3rd back in here for GT Daytona. And it's been a long time coming for this 99 machine. Nathan Buchanan dominating the race over his knee, and coming off turn number 11, Nathan Buchanan will get his first ever win in the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship. Connor Monaco will get 2nd in GT Daytona. Bruno Diacomo will round out the podium. But for Mike Vincent Jr., leading the most laps here this afternoon, getting the job done in that number 78 machine. We take a look at the official standings. Mike Vincent Jr. wins the race. The fastest lap for GT Le Mans went to Riley Sampson. Of course, you'll see the fastest pit stop on your screen as well. Skylar Taylor, 1 spot away from hitting a hat trick here at Autumn Hill. She is a force to be reckoned with at this track. It's the craziest thing. Michael Lewis rounds out the podium. Aguirre Sato will get 4th. Michelle Gavinou stole 5th at the last second away from Zachary Fitzwater, so that's 5 points that Fitzy is going to lose out on. Go back and down here for GT Daytona. Nathan Buchanan, Connor Monaco, Bruno Diacomo the podium. Esteban Lacer will salvage a 4th. Matt Lagasse will get 5th. Go down. Logan Alexander will get, let's see, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th for Logan Alexander. 11th for Aaron Abel. 13th, 14th for Dylan Matthews. And we're going to have some championship action here as 5 cars failed to finish the race. Justin Williams, Igor Barreto, Alex Lozano, Carson Miller, and Alexander Rowe. But for the point standings, going into Riverside, starting with GT Le Mans, we don't know who had the fastest pit stop, but we do know that Mike Vincent Jr. led the most laps, led a lap, so he'll get 115 points to start off with. Zachary Fitzwater didn't lead any laps, and he finished 6th, so we're going to say 75 points for him. For Aguirre Sato, a 4th place finish, 85 points. And for Riley Sampson, who got 12th, we'll just see if Sampson is mathematically still in championship contention for the top 4. That'd be 45 points. So the points as they run, without the fastest bonus point, or actually so that's 50 points for Riley Sampson with the fastest lap. So the points as they run, it is a 15-point lead for Aguirre Sato going into the season finale at Riverside. And that is about as close as you can get here. And then Zachary Fitzwater with 755 would be 60 points behind Aguirre Sato. Riley Sampson, 691, is going to be mathematically out of championship contention. So it's going to be 3 drivers for GT Le Mans with a shot at this championship, and it's going to be a 15-point gap between Mike Vincent Jr. and Aguirre Sato. Sato will still hold on to the points lead going into the season finale, but it's going to be, we're going to do a qualifying session before the race on Christmas. Probably on Christmas Eve we'll do a qualifying session, and then we'll get the race going. And then Zachary Fitzwater, a little bit of a long shot, 60 points back, but it's definitely doable. And then back in here for GT Daytona, we said Dylan Matthews. We said Aaron Abel was 11th, I believe. And this is, I don't know, this is without most laps led bonus or laps led bonus. So this is just based on some quick math. So we said 1st, 2nd, 3rd. 4th was Esteban Lasser. So Lasser would get 85 points. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 9th was Logan Alexander. That's 60 points. And then we said 14th was Dylan Matthews. So that would be about 35 points. Of course, everything will be finalized right after this. But going in to the season finale, Dylan Matthews would have a 50-point lead over Esteban Lasser. Aaron Abel would have a 54-point deficit to the 26, and Logan Alexander still in mathematical contention, but he needs a lot to break his way. Actually, I didn't even realize Brooke Paquette is still in this. I don't know about that, but I do know that Dylan Matthews had a shot to win the championship for GT Daytona last year, was not able to earn it. She's going to have a shot to do it here in a month's time. But oh goodness gracious, we have got one whale of a show here coming up in a month. But that's going to do it here from the Autumn Hill Raceway. Congratulations once again to Mike Vincent Jr. and Nathan Buchanan for winning the Spam Grand Prix of Schuylkill. And finally, we'll see you next month over in the Golden State for the final race of the 2025 FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship season, the California Christmas Classic. Coverage from the Riverside International Raceway starts at 3 p.m. Eastern on Christmas Day, December 25th, right here on the NASRN. Thank you once again for tuning into today's coverage of the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Here are your point standings for both classes after race number 11 of the FMGTC's 2025 campaign. And from Tremont, Pennsylvania, on behalf of the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great evening, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving. We'll see you in Riverside on Christmas Day for the finale.